Hey guys, it's Simeon. This is Pro Wrestling Unlimited as well. Whew. That was a rough show to get through as far as AEW Dynamite does go. Good show. Really, really, really good show. But that was hard. I mean, I don't even know how many times I cried. Jacko in the Twitch chat says the same thing. I don't know how many times I cried tonight. Probably a lot. I know I did. Trust me. That they couldn't have done that show much, if any, better, to be 100% completely honest. And there is some breaking news coming out after the show as well. According to Tony Schiavone on the AEW Dynamite post show that they do air live on YouTube and Facebook, he did state that the current TNT Championship belt, the one that was presented to -1, -1 Brody Jr., the one that Brody Lee held, has been retired. They're retiring that belt design and will be creating a new TNT title. So that is something cool that the company is doing in Brody's legacy. That, I guess you could say, design is now going to always be Brody's belt. And Tony Khan said it tonight, our greatest TNT champion. He looks at Cody and goes, no disrespect. And Cody goes, oh no. And we'll talk about that more as we get going. But I want to say thank you for joining me here, either on twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited or youtube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited. I got a cough. Give me 1 second. All right, we're good. But like I stated, that show tonight was, I don't want to say it was hard to watch, because that's not the right words to use, but it was 100% very, very emotional. And we also had NXT. I'm just going to say that too. Excuse me. We also had NXT, which, for what it was, a really good show. I actually enjoyed what I saw on NXT tonight for the most part. But with that, let's get right into it and talk about this amazing episode of Dynamite. And I also, before I do talk about that, I've already seen it. And everyone going, look what AEW did for Brody tonight. And all WWE did was throw up a graphic. They didn't do anything for the man that was there for 7 years. Like, from what I've heard, WWE is looking to do a long-form kind of tribute deal, whether that is a video they air on television or a documentary for the network. Plus, here's the other thing. Since Brody passed, they've only had, not counting tonight, Monday Night Raw. And they filmed stuff with men and women backstage, tributes to Brody, but they didn't air them because WWE, from what I was told, did not think it was fair to air those before others on the roster, whether that is guys in NXT or guys on SmackDown, also got to say what they wanted to say on record, on camera, I mean. And so, that's one thing. So WWE is working on something, but they want to let everybody be able to say what they want to say before they air anything. I don't know what exactly it is, but that's what's going on. So I just wanted to get that before we did start this out. And give me 1 second, guys. I forgot to change the title here on Twitch. Now we're good. So AEW kicks off, and you hear, it's Wednesday. You know what that means. Jim Ross says that. As we see the roster out on the stage, Brody Lee's wife, Amanda, and their two children, Brody Jr. And I can't remember his other son's name. I know his middle name's Rhino, but I can't remember his first name. I think it starts with an H, but they did do a 10-bell salute. And as soon as they showed Brody's family, I lost it. And then, probably the perfect person on this roster to open up this show with a tribute, Jon Moxley. The man on that roster that probably, other than Bryce Remsburg, knows him better. Well, Bryce Remsburg and Mookie, Chris Harrington. The guy that knows him better than almost anybody else in that company, other than, Bryce Remsburg, who was with him before he was in WWE and knew him all through. And then you've got Mookie, though, Chris Harrington, that has known John Brody forever. So Moxley sent in a video. He wasn't actually there, which isn't weird. I'm not criticizing this. He was supposed to be there live on the show this week anyway, so I don't know why he didn't come. I do know that they told people, if you just don't want to come, we understand. But he said that he's never had a more difficult time coming up with words to say, and that Brody brought joy to wrestling. Moxley had known Lee from the bingo halls and the armories to the arenas and the stadiums all over the world. But to Lee, this was just his job. 2020 has hurt us all. But Lee's passing was like a pride soccer kick to the face. Wrestling isn't just a sport, it's a community. And we support each other, as Moxley stated. Moxley hopes that Lee inspires us all to become a little bit better and appreciate what we have. Because every day, including a day spent with Lee, is a gift. He stated that he and Brody always talked about Brody's family, and Moxley was like, oh, I'm not going to have kids and all that. I like being able to do whatever I want and go and this and blah, 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 blah. But now, Moxley's having a family. He said that, I love you, brother, and I'll never forget you. And that's kind of the same thing Seth Rollins said in his Instagram tribute, that, he kind of learned by watching Brody with his kids how he should be with his own. Because, Seth and Becky just had their baby. John and Renee, they're going to have their baby in the next year. So that's the one thing we've heard out of everything is, yes, he was a great professional wrestler, but he was a better father, a better husband, the best father and husband you could ever have and be. So the show kicks off. We got Jericho on commentary, and it's Colt Cabana and the Young Bucks taking on Matt Hardy and Private Party. Every match tonight featured Dark Order, and all members of the Dark Order, except for Alan Angels, came out on stage before every match. Alan Angels, of course, was sitting front row with -1 Brody Jr. throughout the entire show. Colt Cabana, of course, had tears in his eyes, and Jericho said, we're going to see a lot of red rings around people's eyes tonight. And then Jericho said the one thing that I think was the perfect thing for somebody to say. It is okay to cry. It is okay to cry. So Cabana started off the match with Isaiah Cassidy, and Cabana took advantage with his signature comedy. Quinn and the Bucks each tagged in, where the Bucks took out both members of Private Party before joining Cabana for a triple dropkick on Matt Hardy. Matt Jackson getting the cat after a dropkick, leading to a rare quebrada from Colt Cabana on all three of his opponents outside. Nick Jackson beat down Quinn in the corner, but was cut off by a clothesline from Hardy on the apron. A blind tag and a super kick from Matt Jackson stopped a razor's edge from Matt Hardy, but a trip from Hardy allowed Quinn to take him out with a Pilpay. Private Party and Hardy isolated Matt Jackson on the other side of the ring for an extended period of time. A diving crossbody from the latter got a 2, but he was met with a side effect, and Hardy got a 2 of his own. Hardy showboated a little bit, but Cabana attacked him from the apron, and Matt Jackson landed a twist of fate. Cabana got the hot tag and landed an Acai moonsault on both Private Party members, following a flip, flop, and fly. He then landed a hip attack for a 2. Cassidy countered a discus lariat into a crucifix for a close near fall. Quinn landed a dive for another 2. Hardy tried to direct traffic, sending Private Party to the top turnbuckle, but they were knocked down, and Hardy was cut off with a super kick. Nick Jackson would tag in and run wild with clotheslines. but was tripped yet again. He fought back, and he landed a facebuster into a moonsault, looked straight into the camera and says, "That's for you, Brody." Private Party tried to go for the gin and juice. Matt Hardy hits a twist of fate at one point. The official was distracted, so Hardy tried to attack with a chair, but Quinn didn't want that. Matt is basically trying to tell them, do whatever you have to win matches, but Private Party is trying to say, no, we're above that. We're not going to cheat. They then cut off Cabana and set it for the gin and juice again, but Matt Jackson blindsided Quinn with a super kick. The Bucks then hit Quinn with an Indie Taker, and Cabana followed it up with a Superman pin for the victory. Dark Order -1, Brody Lee's son, was shown at ringside with Allen 5 Angels. The Acclaim's music then played as Max Caster said something about, I can't remember exactly what it was, I didn't write it down, but I think he said Dark Order would be nothing without Brody. I know somebody said that tonight, and I might be wrong here on who said it, but then SCU would run down and help clear house. The Bucks laid in super kicks. Cabana hit his bionic elbow, sending both packing as -1 looked on in approval. Darby Allin talked about Brody Lee. Allin was so happy that Brody Lee came to AEW because he was somebody that he always wanted to work with. He said that Lee, well, he had no ego and it was never about him. Quote, he was the man by far. #1 dude I wish I could have wrestled. Next up, we had Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, and Lance Archer taking on the team of Eddie Kingston, the Butcher, and the Blade. And Lance Archer came out dressed as Luke Harper. White tank top, jeans, and a bandana sticking out the back pocket. I loved it. Before the match, Eddie Kingston choked up on the microphone and said, "Brody, I love you, I miss you." Oh, and then he was the one, I believe, that said Dark Order would be nothing without, what's it called? Without Brody. Raven, I'm not even going to mention your comment because we talked about that at the top of the show. So, Uno attacked Kingston before the bell. Butcher and the Blade were dispatched as Archer and the Dark Order beat down Kingston in the ring. They traded shots using each other as weapons and flattened Kingston on the mat. With order restored, Bunny tripped Grayson, which allowed the heels to take control. Roberts returned the favor with a trip of his own. Grayson then hit a black hole slam, leading to a commercial. And I think it was, Oni may have said, "That's a big man slam." And Jericho goes, "No, that's a Brody slam." I like that. Kingston, Butcher, and the Blade were actually in control after the break. Uno and Kingston had a stiff slap fight, but Uno avoided a spinning back fist and hit a straight right and a half-and-half suplex. Archer and Blade then tagged in. Archer shrugged off Blade's attacks before planting him with a chokeslam. Archer performed his rope walk, but ended up with an incredible moonsault on the Blade. Butcher tried to cut him off, but was pounced outside of the ring by Archer. The combination move from the Dark Order almost got the pin, but Butcher and Kingston both broke it up. A DDT from Kingston on Grayson got a close near fall, but Grayson escaped Archer's backflip kick. The finish of the match saw Archer set up a black hole on Blade, but Kingston broke it up. Grayson would tag in, and like a house on fire with a springboard apron DDT on the Butcher before he and Uno landed the fatality on Blade to pick up the victory. So, Dark Order picks up the win again. After the match, Dark Order and Archer landed some forearms on Eddie Kingston, and even Jake Roberts hit a short-armed clothesline as well. We got more tributes for Brody. Everyone talked about how much they loved him and how much he loved his wife and children. It was said that Lee and his family were inseparable, that no matter what, Brody always did what he did for his family. They said Brody didn't even care if he had to work till 2 a.m. at a tapings, and just for his family. Like, I'm trying to remember exactly how this was said. This was said in a weird way. They said something along the lines of, he didn't care if he had to work till 2 a.m. He would make sure he's home by 5 a.m. for his kids, something along those lines. And then Bryce Remsburg. Bryce Remsburg said him and Brody go way back. And then when Brody came to AEW and they started talking not just about wrestling but about life, it was like they never missed a beat. And he thought we'd talk about, things, mainly wrestling together, but no, they always talked about their families. He then went on to say, if there was a Mount Rushmore for wrestling dads, the best dads in pro wrestling, Brody would in fact be on it. And that one got me. Seeing Bryce crying, saying that, and what he said, as a father myself, God, I can only imagine. Next up, we had John Silver and Alex Reynolds of the Dark Order teaming with Hangman Page to take on the Inner Circle's MJF, Santana, and Ortiz. So this was a great match. This was just great. Silver wore Mr. Brody Lee's robe and gear. I believe Silver actually stated that this was a jacket of Brody's that he ended up having hemmed and gave to John Silver. Like, he hemmed it to fit Silver and then gave it to him. And I think same thing with I want to say Preston Vance in the main event. His jacket was a old Brody jacket that Brody had tailored to fit him that he gave him. Yeah. Incredible dude. He did so much in this company, and he was only there for April, May, June, July, August, September, October, 7 months, and did so much in this company in that short amount of time. It's just crazy. But Silver wore Mr. Brody Lee's robe and gear resembling Mr. Brody Lee. Before the match, Silver and Reynolds pulled rolls of paper out of their tights and threw them at their opponents. Because, it's Mr. Brody used to do to them. He used to paper them. Jericho said, hey, you can't do that. That's using a weapon. And I liked that. That was pretty funny by Jericho. Jericho was amazing on commentary. I'm just going to say that right now. So, at the start of the match, Page pulled out a roll of papers of his own and tossed it in MJF's face. MJF screamed at -1, Brody's son at ringside, which paid off later. Silver and Ortiz tagged in and had an exchange before a crossbody from Santana. Reynolds tagged in after an elbow from Silver and landed a smooth elbow, but Santana popped up and downed him with a neck breaker. Santana went for the 3 amigo suplexes, using Ortiz for help on the third as the Inner Circle continued to isolate Reynolds on their side of the ring. Page hit an elbow on Ortiz and allowed himself to tag in. He hit attacks on all 3 opponents, including hitting a springboard clothesline on Santana and a follow-away slam on MJF. After a commercial break, MJF flipped off -1, so Page surprised him with a boot. Page reached Silver for a hot tag, who ran wild on Santana and Ortiz. He had his own House of Fire moment, attacking all the Inner Circle members before finally being cut off by Santana. We then got the parade of big moves here, including a destroyer from Silver to MJF, who followed it up with a top rope suicida. With the official back in the ring, Silver was met with a heat seeker from MJF, and Santana and Ortiz hit a finisher on him, but Reynolds broke up the pin. With the referee distracted, Wardlow would attack Reynolds with a clothesline. So Eric Redbeard, the former Eric Rowan, and that's what Jericho yelled. Jericho goes, "It's Eric Rowan!" And Excalibur goes, "Oh, Eric Redbeard!" But Brody's longtime tag team partner would run out and dispatch Wardlow as the two would brawl to the back. That was a really cool thing they did, bringing him in. Dark Order hit power moves on Ortiz and concluded with a buckshot lariat from Page, but MJF put Ortiz's foot on the ropes. MJF would then pull the mask off of -1. Is it -1 or -1? I can't remember. Even though they said it a million times tonight. Anyways, might be -1. Brody Jr. His mask was pulled off by MJF. So, what did he do? Hit MJF right on the top of the head with a kendo stick. I loved it. It was great. Silver then posed like Lee in the ring, landed the discus forearm, and pinned Ortiz to pick up the victory. After the match, Eric Redbeard came back down to celebrate. Everyone was emotional after this one, particularly John Silver and Eric Redbeard. Redbeard had a sign that said, and I quote, "Goodbye for now, my brother. See you down the road." So we got another tribute video. This one was Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston was a guy that knew Brody well before his WWE days. Eddie Kingston said that he is going to miss Brody Lee. He's going to miss Lee busting his balls, but he's also going to miss Lee believing in him. He said, Mr. Brody Lee, that Brody believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. Kingston said that he wants Lee's children to know that their father isn't gone, because his teachings, they live on. If you remember him, he is still always here with you. He said Lee was a warrior inside and out of the ring. That he also loved his children more than anything. And that's the one thing we've heard from everybody, that his children were everything to him. So next up, we had Anna Jay and Ty Conti taking on Britt Baker, DMD, and Penelope Ford. I do want to say thank you to Rosario1983 on Twitch for subscribing with Tier 1 6 months in a row. Really do appreciate that one. Really do appreciate that. Thank you. Also, remember, guys, you could be part of tonight's show if you want to text in your thoughts to 510-906-1341. Again, that number is 510-906-1341. Anna Jay and Baker started off this match. They performed chain wrestling until Ford tagged in, where Jay and Conti took control. Ford slapped Conti, who responded with elbows and a judo throw. A heel kick from Conti got a 2. Saban distracted the official, allowing Baker to surprise Conti with a kick, which Ford followed up with a German suplex. Ford and Baker maintained control throughout the commercial break. Conti and Ford downed each other with simultaneous pump kicks. At one point, Jay ran wild on Baker, concluding the sequence with a flipping neck breaker. Ford blindsided Jay with a backstabber, so Conti ran in to send her packing. Baker downed Conti with a sling blade before Jay flattened Baker with a dangerous J kick. Jay was very emotional here, pointing to the sky when Baker would blindside her from behind, and Jericho goes, "Hey, I understand what's going on, but never take your eyes off of your opponent. Never get distracted." Baker hit her with a fisherman's neck breaker and got a 2 off of it. Ford made a blind tag and hit a diving blockbuster for a 2 of her own. The crowd was really behind Anna Jay here at this point. After catching a moonsault, Jay locked on the Queen Slayer Sleeper as Conti dispatched Baker and Reba and forced Penelope Ford to tap out. So after the match, Anna Jay and Ty Conti were very emotional, and then Tony Schiavone came down as he was summoned by Britt Baker. Britt said, "This whole match was rigged. Everything here was rigged. Anna Jay is rigged. Ty Conti is rigged. This is just a big rig." And I kind of liked that, because that is an homage to Brody. She said, "This is a big rig." Because back in the day on the indies, for a period of time, Brody Lee's nickname was Big Rig. After the match, Thunder Rosa would run out and attack Britt Baker. It was then announced that Britt Baker will be taking on Thunder Rosa Night 2 New Year's Smash in 2 weeks. Speaking of New Year's Smash, next week we have a number of things announced. Jericho will be on commentary again. Snoop Dogg will be on the show. Moxley will be on the show, and they said he will be here live from Daly's place. Cody will be taking on Matt Sydal. The Young Bucks, this is a new match announced. The Young Bucks and SCU will be taking on the acclaimed NTH2. Jake Hager will face Wardlow. With the AEW Women's World Championship on the line, Hikaru Shida will take on Abaddon. And with the AEW World title on the line, Kenny Omega will take on Rey Fenix. They also announced in 2 weeks, New Year's Smash Night 2. Darby Allin will defend the TNT Championship against Brian Cage. Britt Baker, again, like I stated, will take on Thunder Rosa. FTR will take on Jurassic Express. And Miro will have a singles match with Chuck Taylor. Why it's not a tag match? Well, that's because old Trent is out with the busted pec or whatever it is. Yeah, it's a pec. He was there tonight, though. His arm up in a sling. So then we move on to our main event match of the night. It was the Brody Lee Jr. rematch. He picked Preston Vance, Ken of the Dark Order, Cody Rhodes, and Orange Cassidy to team together. They would take on Team Taz's Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, and Powerhouse Hobbs, who Jericho called Will Hobbs. They stated that this was a one-night-only affair. Bryce Remsburg was a referee, very emotional, and this match was really good. Cody and Hobbs started things off where Hobbs immediately dropped Cody. Starks tagged in and was met with strikes from Cody. But he popped up and landed a drop kick. He followed it up with a shoulder tackle and posed. This allowed Cody to fire up and regain control. Cody would tag in Vance. And Vance down Starks with a shoulder block. He then hit a rope-assisted German suplex as well. Hobbs would tag back in and wanted Cody. But Orange Cassidy would tag in instead. Cassidy fainted away from the Greco-Roman knuckle lock. Put his hands in his pockets and hit a shoulder tackle. He had some kicks as well, and he fired up and went for Tornado DDT, but Hobbs countered it into a spinning Oklahoma Stampede heading into a commercial break. After the break, Cassidy used an evasive maneuver to reach Cody to get the hot tag. A power slam from Cody on Starks got a two as Cody threw his weight belt into the crowd. A knee from Cage on the apron led to a double clothesline. Preston Vance 10 would tag in and run wild on all of Team Taz, including with a power slam on Starks. Starks took that power slam very well. Tony Starks, or not Tony Starks. I'm thinking fucking Iron Man, Tony Stark. Ricky Starks is great. Way better than he sometimes gets credit for. I'm just going to say that right now. He posed and hit Brody Bomb, 10 that is, on Starks. But Starks avoided 10's spinebuster and landed a big spear for a 2. Cassidy went for the beach break. Starks tried to turn it into a Rochambeau. I think is what it's called, Rochambeau. But Cassidy hit a Tornado DDT instead. Crowd would then chant for 10 as Taz grabbed a chair. So Arn Anderson grabbed a chair. Cassidy then hit the orange punch with the referee distracted. Cody hit the crossroads and 10 hit his spinebuster. Bryce Remsburg would then realize what was going on, run back into the ring, count the 1, 2, 3. There you go. Clean sweep from Dark Order tonight. Winning team, especially 10, were all very emotional. Well, couldn't really tell if Orange Cassidy was, I assume so. And then they were attacked from behind by Team Taz. The lights would go out, and appearing would be Darby Allin. And I think it was Jericho who said this. I could be wrong, but I think it was Jericho who goes, "It's Darby Allin. He's coming out from where Moxley usually comes out." I thought that was funny. The lights would go out again, and out would come Sting. The two would come down to the ring as Team Taz basically retreated. We were then told by Jericho, after the break, we will be coming back with a big main event tribute to Mr. Brody Lee. So when we come back from break, Cody's in the ring all by himself. Very emotional, and said that he's been looking for something to encapsulate Mr. Brody Lee. He quoted Samuel Johnson by saying, quote, "You can't judge a man's character by how he treats somebody who can do him no good." He talked about all the stories we have heard over the past few days of people whose lives were just positively affected by Brody. They then aired a video. Well, no. The video was last, I think. It was a blur to me, to be honest, but Brody's family did come out. They did introduce Brody Lee Jr. -1, -1. He got a full entrance as he came out with his mother and his little brother. and they laid Brody's boots in the ring. Preston Vance was there with them as well, with Amanda. Tony Khan came out. So he placed the boots in the middle of the ring. Cody draped like a purple cloth over it. And Khan said that Brody Lee was the greatest TNT champion we've ever had. He looks at Cody and goes, "No offense." And Cody goes, "None taken." He would then give -1 his own TNT championship, claiming that he is the TNT champion for life. And as we learned after Dynamite from Tony Schiavone, as I stated earlier, the TNT title we know, the design we know now, has been or is going to be retired. That will be Brody's belt. And a new title is in the works. A tribute video then aired, showing photos and videos of all of Brody's career, except for WWE footage, but we did see photos of him with people from WWE like Bray Wyatt, Cesaro, Becky Lynch, and others. It closed with "In Memory of John Huber, Brody Lee, 1979-2020. Great show. Perfect show. I don't think they could have done it any better. But with that was AEW Dynamite. And now we got, NXT to talk about. I'm going to throw a poll. I didn't want to put a poll up for Dynamite because that's not what that show was all about. But I do want to know what you guys thought of NXT. We're going to throw a poll up real fast here on Twitch of tonight's NXT. I liked it. It was all right. And I know a lot of you probably didn't even watch NXT tonight. I know a lot of people were like, I'm only watching Dynamite. I want to give that my 100%, what's the word I'm looking for? Attention. So I know like I said, a lot of people didn't watch NXT tonight, which was understandable. And also, speaking of Dynamite, I believe it was Excalibur at one point did state tonight. It was either Excalibur or Jericho. I can't remember. But one of them said tonight is not about ratings, not about numbers, not about analytics. It is about one man, Mr. Brody Lee. So NXT kicked off. Where are my notes here? It just froze on me. Give me 2 seconds to refresh this, guys. So NXT opens up the show with a graphic honoring the late John Huber, Luke Harper. They then kicked it off with a singles match between Bronson Reed and Isaiah Swerve Scott. Reed pinned Scott clean after a splash off the top rope. Called it the Tsunami. Not too much happened in this match. Pretty quick little, hey, look what Bronson Reed can do. But it was weird that they did this with Scott. With Isaiah Swerve Scott, somebody that they've been pushing very well in 2020. So I don't understand this at all. Why you would use Isaiah Scott in this spot and not just use somebody random like they did in the Mercedes Martinez match. We got our first NXT award because, they do the NXT year-end awards, and it was Breakout Star of the Year. And the award would go to Shotzi Blackheart. Remember, these were all fan-voted. The North American champion Johnny Gargano was leading the way into the building. Good to see Candice without the cast on. They were cocky until Gargano saw a black cat crossing his path. He feared that this was bad luck. And they did a lot of these Johnny might have bad luck deals tonight. Next up, we have the Grizzled Young Vets, James Drake and Zach Gibson taking on Breezango, Tyler Breeze, and Fandango. The Vets tried to work over Breezango early until Fandango tagged in. Work over Breeze early until Fandango tagged in. Fandango, Fandango, you say it either way. Breezango then hit some double team moves, and Gibson still almost stole the pin. Fandango jumped off the top of the lighting rigs and hit a flying crossbody as the show cut to commercial. After a break, Breeze got a hot tag, but it was smashed by the vets. They just stopped it. Like, he got the hot tag, but didn't get much of it. Onago tried to make the save, but he was shoved into the ring steps. This injured his leg that they had been working on throughout the match. Outnumbered 2-on-1, Breeze soon took a ticket to Mayhem. Gibson then covered him to pick up the victory. Everrise would run down and attack. You know, they've been doing things for a while. Referee Aja Smith was holding them back until she got tired of their crap. She left, and no one was left to hold them back, and they quickly begged off. Also, during this match, it was announced that the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic is coming back to NXT starting in 2 weeks. I believe after the Undisputed Era were named Tag Team of the Year, Adam Cole stated the Undisputed Era will be in the Dusty Classic. Also on Twitter, Drake Maverick indicated that he and Killian Dane may be in the tournament. But other than that, I didn't see or hear anybody else state that they're going to be in the tournament. But the Dusty Tag Classic is coming back. Really cool. Always a really good tournament that ends with really great finals matches. We got more training videos from Xia Li and Boa. We saw the female who was leading them wearing a mask, and then it said that it just said next week at the end. Well, I don't know if they're going to reveal their new leader or trainer or coach next week, but from what we have heard, probably going to be Karen Q. Next up, this is a squash match. Mercedes Martinez against Valentina Flores. Or Faraz? Something like that. Basically, showcase for Mercedes Martinez, and she beat her ass. Martinez looked like a complete badass, and well, because she is. Martinez ragdolled her for a while, like I said, hit the air raid crash, and pinned her. We then got 2 announcements for the NXT Awards. Female Competitor of the Year, Io Shirai, and Male Competitor of the Year, Adam Cole. They then stated, now go to NXT's website or WWE website and vote on which of these 2 you think is the overall NXT Competitor of the Year. And then next up, we had a great match between Pete Dunne and Roderick Strong. So they began with some fisticuffs, just throwing haymakers as well, one expected. They locked horns early, and the bout was very intense from the beginning. Dunne began to work over Strong, but Roddy fought back. He suplexed Dunne over the barricade before the show cut to commercial. Dunne, during the break, blocked a superplex, and he leapt off the middle rope with a double stomp to Strong's hand. Dunne continued to work over Strong after the break. Strong soon made a comeback, and he rallied into a flurry of offense. However, Roddy missed a wrecking ball dropkick, and Dunne posted him into the ring steps. Nevertheless, though, Roddy countered with a bitter end. Strong then gave Dunne a full Nelson slam on the apron. The fight returned back to the ring, and Strong tried to continue his rally. Dunne caught him in a triangle. Strong powered out with a deadlift powerbomb on Dunne for the near fall. The finish of the match then saw Dunne try again for a triangle. There was a little bit of a struggle as Roddy pulled away. Dunne then snapped his fingers, and Dunne followed this up with the bitter end to pick up the victory. So Pete Dunne defeats Roderick Strong here tonight. We then get the announcement that Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly from NXT TakeOver 31 was match of the year for NXT. William Regal goes to present the winners, but only Finn shows up. Finn goes, I don't need my trophy. Keep it, but I'm going to take Kyle's and give it to him myself. So as Balor's walking out to go to the ring, basically, he's met by Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne basically just tells him, hold on to that title. You ain't going to have it much longer. Basically insinuating, I may have lost my number 1 contender shot and don't get the match next week, but I'm going to get one eventually. Balor began to cut a promo. In the ring, he had the championship belt and the plaque. Kyle O'Reilly would interrupt him. O'Reilly came out to confront the NXT champion. O'Reilly went to pick up his plaque, and Balor told him, you deserve it. But Balor also said that he himself doesn't need it. Balor said that the championship, that's what he wants. That's what he needs. He also doesn't need a trophy to remind him of their match. because he has 3 metal plates in his jaw that reminds him about that every single day. Balor would then go on to state that their match next week, more than just for the title, it's personal. Balor went on to say that he is going to basically turn Kyle O'Reilly into dust. He said he is going to ragdoll him all around this ring and destroy him. O'Reilly said the trophy did mean something to him. It's proof that he is a top guy and deserves to be in one of the top spots here in NXT, but he is not going to carry it around. It's a participation award. And O'Reilly said that he's been participating for 15 years. He's done with that, and he wants the belt. Remember, right before he left Ring of Honor, he was Ring of Honor World Champion. Like, Ring of Honor saw something in him, but then he left. Triple H also sees something in him. And then, you know, Triple H always talks high of Adam Cole. I've heard that as much as Triple H likes Adam Cole, he may actually think more highly of goddamn Kyle O'Reilly. So Balor replied, saying that he was going to make O'Reilly suffer. O'Reilly broke his jaw, and next time, Balor will make him pay. Balor said something, and they bleeped it out. They literally didn't bleep it, but they muted it. He said something that they couldn't say on TV. Suddenly, they were interrupted by Scarlett and Karrion Kross. Scarlett said that the title doesn't belong to them. It doesn't belong to either Finn or Kyle O'Reilly. It belongs to them because they never lost it. Because no matter who wins, the winner's fate has already been sealed. Kross then warned them that Doomsday is here. And Damian Priest would appear behind him. Priest got right into his face and said that how you stepped to a man is how that man shows respect. And then the two just start going to blows. They brawl all around ringside. The brawl continued around the set. They did the Mankind HBK spot from Mind Games. They crashed through a table before the show faded to commercial. They actually crashed through a barricade too. Your Twitch poll has subsided. 67% said that NXT was all right. 33% liked it, and nobody disliked it. So that's good. They would then air, which I thought was an amazing video package, for Raquel Gonzalez and Rhea Ripley. Now, what most people may not know is that when both of these women first started in WWE and NXT at the PC, they became like best friends. They did everything together. They would travel together for live events. They would work together on live events, and they even called themselves R&R. So basically, all of this was Rhea saying, yeah, we used to be friends, but she's changed. And no matter what we were in the past, that's not what we are now. And this is coming to blows. And Raquel just goes, maybe all that in the past was just me trying to, get under her skin. Trying to get good with her, but in the end, know what I'm going to do to her. She said that Rhea thinks she's the biggest, baddest woman here, but she's not. Raquel says, I am, and I'm going to prove that next week. I thought this was really good. I can't do it justice. You got to go watch it for yourself. This is one segment from the show that I would say go check out because this was done tremendously. Next up, El Legado del Fantasma came down to the ring. Cruiserweight champion Santos Escobar said that, he had a great year. He called the Undisputed Era winning tag team of the year a sham. He went on to say that no one can touch him as Cruiserweight champion. And in 2021, the success will continue. And I expected the other Cruiserweight champion to come out. Why is his name crap? His name just, I had it and then I lost it. The other Cruiserweight champion. Technically the real Cruiserweight champion. What's his name again? Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. I can picture his face. Jordan Devlin, the Finn Balor lookalike. That's right. I thought he was going to interrupt here because when he was like, no one can touch me as Cruiserweight champion. 2021, the success will continue. So I thought they were going to set up some sort of a unification match for next week or something. But instead, Lucha House Party would interrupt. Lince Dorado and Grand Metalik basically said that you say, and this made sense why they came out in the long run, because they were like, you say you run all of Lucha Libre? No, you do not run all of Lucha Libre. You don't own Lucha Libre. Two teams brawled after Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza basically baited them to come down to the ring, and then we ended up with a tag team match. And no, Teddy Long didn't make this match. Well, the Technicos got the shine early, but the Rudos got the heat on Dorado. Metalik cleaned house after a hot tag. Dorado with a flying body press. And then he went for the pin, but it was broken up. Metalik hit a Hurricane Rana off the apron, and he sent Wilde to the floor. Dorado gave Mendoza a poison Rana. Metalik then walked the ropes and leapt into a flying elbow. Metalik then covered Mendoza to pick up the victory. So Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado do defeat two members of Legado del Fantasma. We then got the NXT Future Star of the Year award that was given to Austin Theory. The Way was with Theory to present him with the plaque. Theory kind of slipped up and said the word curse in front of Johnny. Johnny would then take his whey protein powder, or his Gargano whey protein powder, and throw it. But when he did, well, broke a mirror with it. Johnny said that he was doomed, as it was time for him to go out to the ring for his match. He, accidentally also walked under a ladder. We also got the award for NXT Rivalry of the Year. That went to Adam Cole versus Pat McAfee. And then, you guys voted, overall Competitor of the Year would end up going to Io Shirai over Adam Cole, baby. We got I want to say there was less than 10 minutes left when this match started, and it was the NXT North American title match, Johnny Gargano defending against Leon Ruff. And well, I'll tell you right now, they didn't make Ruff just look like a goob. He didn't just look like a geek out there. He actually looked like a formidable foe, I guess you could say. Ruff with counters and reversals had Gargano on the ropes in the early portion of this match. The story of him being cursed was weighing on him, as Gargano didn't seem as confident as he normally does at the early portions of this match. After being thrown outside, Ruff was reeling when Gargano tried to throw him into the barricade. Ruff instead leapt onto the chain link barricade like Spider-Man. He jumped from the barricade to the ring steps and then back to the barricade, again, like Spider-Man. He then kicked Gargano in the face and jumped into a Hurricane Rana on the floor. Theory was at ringside and caused a distraction. Gargano cut off Ruff, Gargano with a tope suicida, and then he sent Ruff crashing into the ring steps. The show then cut to their final commercial break. When we came back, Gargano was in control. Ruff tried to fire up after the show returned from the break, but Gargano dashed his hope spot. Ruff soon countered Gargano and hit Gargano with a kick. Ruff rallied into a comeback, and he fired up on Gargano. Ruff delivered a hanging neck breaker. A moment later, he follows up with the German suplex. Ruff hit a cannonball in the corner for a near fall. However, Ruff ran into a super kick right after. Gargano threw Ruff into the corner like a lawn dart and then hit another super kick. They traded counters, and Gargano hit a lariat and a powerbomb. Ruff kicked out, but he became caught in the Gargano escape. Ruff called to the ropes to make the break. Ruff then flew off the apron and nailed Gargano with a flying cutter on the floor. He followed this up with the frog splash. Ruff then went for the cover, and Gargano managed to kick out. They were fighting on the turnbuckles when Gargano dropped Ruff into a snake eyes of sorts. The finish of the match then came when Gargano executed the one final beat and pinned Leon Ruff to retain the championship. They said, "The curse is over. The curse has been broken." He actually defended the title. Great match. I really enjoyed it. And I exceptionally enjoyed that they didn't just make Leon Ruff come out here and look like a geek that kind of lucked into the title shot. They actually gave him a lot of offense on Johnny. And they made him look like a formidable foe. But with that, that was NXT. Now, I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what you guys thought of tonight's show. You can text your thoughts in to 510-906-1341. The number is in the live chat and has been scrolling down here periodically throughout the night. Let's see. We've got a couple of text messages here. They will load. The first one here. Okay, cool. We got a couple of them. This person says, with the passing of Brody, what happens to Dark Order as a group? Do they continue without a leader split or find a new leader. You know, that's hard to say right now, and I don't know if they even know. Maybe they make Hangman the new leader. Just saying. Person here states, couldn't even open my mouth to make a video because I am... Wait, what? I don't even... Hold on. I couldn't even open my mouth to make a video because I'm a wrestling fan, and it didn't hear me... It's weirdly written, and I can't read this, unfortunately, whoever sent this in, because it's grammatically messed up, and it's like one run-on sentence that I can't even understand. Sorry. It's hurting my dyslexia bad. Other person says, Tim, I want to share my remembrance about Brody Lee and I and my tag partner. Oh, okay. So, Brody Lee, my tag partner and I faced Brody, a.k.a. Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, at a live event in Roanoke, Virginia, when they were doing the Bludgeon Brothers gimmick. I got to talk to John, absolute great guy, and shared some veteran advice to me. I'll never forget what he told me, and I, for one, will miss him. P.S. He drop kicked my face. No, drop kicked my ass. LOL. That's funny. Thank you for sending that in, 540. I really appreciate that. He said he drop kicked my ass. And this last text message says, for NXT New Year's Evil and AEW New Year's Smash Night 1 supposed to happen tonight, but got pushed back a week because of the passing of. So, New Year's Smash Night 1 was supposed to happen tonight. That got pushed back. New Year's Evil was always scheduled to take place next week. So there was no change there from the NXT side, just from the AEW side. But with that, guys, thank you for joining me here tonight. Talk about AEW Dynamite, the celebration of Brody Lee, and WWE NXT. We'll be live again on Friday night, talking about Friday Night SmackDown. So with that, guys, have a great, great night, and we will see you next time.